Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anh Thư, and on behalf of group number 7 of MPP2, I'm here today to present to you guys about the media planning and analysis topic. So this is the agenda or the timeline of my presentation. First, I'll talk about the overview, what media planning and analysis is. The second is about the market analysis and target market identification. Third one is about establishing media objectives. Fourth one is about media strategy and development and also implementation. And the last one is about evaluation and follow-up for media planning. So let's move to the first part, which is about the overview of media planning, what it is. So what is media planning? According to the textbook provided to us by Professor Wong, that media planning is the series of decisions involved in delivering the promotional message to the prospective purchaser and or user of the product or brand. Basically, it means that whatever you do, whatever all the actions you have to take in order to deliver your message to your target audience. And in order to have a successful media plan, then you will have to establish media objectives. And in order to accomplish the objectives, then you will have a media strategy, which is a plan of actions for you to win the objectives. And in media planning, there are a few terms and concepts that I'm going to go through quickly. First one is about medium. So what is medium? Medium is the general category of available delivery system. For example, you have print media, which is magazine or newspaper. You have broadcast media, which is TV or radio. You also have outdoor advertising and so on. And the next term is about media vehicle, which is the specific career within a medium category. For example, in print media, you have newspaper and magazine like Tuổi Trẻ or Người Lao Động and so on. And for broadcast media, you have game show and so on. And in order to measure the number of people that your media plan reach, you have the term reach, coverage, and frequency. And there are certain problems that most media planners they will have to face. For example, the first one is about insufficient information. Because media planners, they tend to require more information than those available. And measuring data, such information might be too difficult or too expensive, which is not feasible. And the second problem about information is about timing of measurement, because normally information about a target customer will be measured at one point of time and then extended for the entire period, which might not optimally reflect customer behavior. Second thing is about inconsistent terminologies, because cost basis used by different media often vary and the standard of measurement is also different. Third problem is about time pressure, because advertisers they are always in a rush, and sometimes media planners they have to make decisions without proper planning or proper collection of information. And the fourth common problem that media planners have to face is about difficulty in measuring effectiveness, because measuring effectiveness of advertising or promotional campaign is really difficult. So more often than not, then media planners may have little estimate of the impact of the alternatives. Now we'll move to the second part, which is about market analysis and target market identification. But before that, I'm going to show you how the process of developing the media plan. First, you have to start by identifying your target market. Then you set up the media objective for your plan. Then you move up to development and implementation. And the last one, you're going to evaluation and follow up your media plan. So in market identification, you have to answer 3 questions. And the first question is, to whom shall we advertise? Who are our target customer here? And in order to answer this question, sometimes you will require to do primary research, but most of the time the information is already available through published or secondary sources. And media planners, they are more concerned about percentage and indexes than raw numbers. And in this part, we have what we call the index number, which is the indicator of the potential of the market, given by this formula right here. And normally an index number of 100 means yield of the product is greater than the segment that one is on an average of 100 or less than 100. But however, you should remember that index number should not be used alone. It should be used with percentage or product usage in order to form a big, accurate picture, because index number can be really misleading. An example of index number right here is, let's take a look at men and women. You see right here, because the index number of men is over 100 while the index number of women is less than 100. So we can conclude that men have more potential in this. Men have more potential to buy than women in this field. The second question is about what internal and external factors are operating. Talking about internal factors, we have the size of the media budget, the managerial and administrative capabilities, the organization of the agency, and so on. And talking about external factors, we have the economy or the changes in technologies or something like that. Both of these information about internal and external factors are available through secondary sources. The next question is about where to promote. This question is related to the geographic objectives, about which area you choose to promote. And the answer is companies should put their money into advertising and promoting where they can best achieve their objectives. In order to find out about where to promote, we have three indexes. The first one is the Survey of Buying Power Index, which includes population, effective buying income, total retail sales in the area. And each of these will be weighted individually in order to determine the potential of customer in that area. And the second index we'll talk about is the Brand Development Index, or BDI, which determines the potential of the brand in the chosen market area. And the last one is about the Category Development Index, or CDI, which shows the potential for development of an entire product category in that market. The BDI talks about the brand in the market, while the CDI talks about the entire category of the market. And this will have a figure the quantity of advertising that would be required to gain additional market share, and it also determines how well a particular brand or category perform in that chosen area. So third part, now that we have identified our target market and we have also answered the question on where to promote, then we'll move to the next part, which is setting of media objectives for our media plan. This part has two main points. The first one is about overview, and the second one is to develop and implement media strategy, which include 8 smaller parts. So about media planning overview, why do we have to set objectives for media plan? Then the answer is we set objectives for media plan to accomplish communication or marketing objective, and we have set achievable goal for media program. For example, say the goal of a media brand is to increase awareness of a biscuit brand. Then it can be broken down into, say, a TV channels. We have the coverage of over 70% on TV channel, and we focused on advertising during holidays like that. That can be an example of what media plan objectives are. And the next one, after we set the objectives, then we'll move to implement the media strategies. In this part, there will be 8 smaller parts, so I'm going to go through those. The first one is the media mix. The media mix is depending on the specific purpose, then you have the combination of media vehicles to best communicate with target audience. For example, say your goal is to make a viral video, then the vehicles that you would like to choose may be TV, television, or YouTube. If your goal is different, then other combination might be taken into consideration. The second one is about target market coverage. It is basically the goal is to extend your media coverage to reach as many customers as possible while minimizing the amount of waste coverage. So reach as much people as possible. The next one is about geographic coverage, which means that people from different areas, they have different mindset and different interests. So you cannot use one advertising campaign for the entire, for all of the areas. For example, say if you want to promote in the rural areas, then you cannot use difficult technical terms because the local consumers will not understand what your advertisement is about. So take note of the characteristic of the people in the geographic area that you want to promote in. And next up is about the schedule. So scheduling, the goal of scheduling is to make sure that your promotional efforts best match with the time where your customer use the vehicles the most. There are 3 types of scheduling. The first one is continuity, always on, which means every day, every week. This is often seen for fast FMCG product like shampoo or detergent. The next one is about flighting, which is like regular schedule. For example, you can say during winter or during spring. And the last one is a combination of the 2, continuity and flighting. For example, in beer company, they promote throughout the year, but they will place a lot of emphasis during, say, dead holidays or winter holidays. So that's what scheduling is about. Next one is about reach versus frequency. So reach, the first stage of reach is that you have to raise awareness about the product or the brand. And the latest stages is that you have to make sure that people learn about your product. You have to trigger them to use your product, and then they have to develop preference over your product. And about frequency by definition is the number of time exposed to the media vehicle. And frequency expressed in the media plan usually overstates the actual level of exposure to the advertisement. If you want to achieve the reach and versus frequency that you want, then of course the first step you have to take is to establish reach and frequency objectives. You can also measure your reach versus frequency for your advertisement through 2 measurements. The first one is cross rating points, which is given by reach duplicated by frequency, and the second is target rating points, TRP, which refer to the number of people in the primary target audience that your media will reach and the number of times they are reached. And how to determine the effective reach? Effective reach represents the percentage of a vehicle's audience reach at each effective frequency increment. And by determining effective reach, you can decide what minimum frequency goal is needed to reach advertising objective effectively and then maximize reach at that frequency level. Next up is about creative aspect and mood. Creative aspect is media is to be pursued. That may be the driving force behind the creative strategy, and mood is about to create a mood that carries over to the communication. One classic example about mood is about magazine. You see that each magazine will have a different style, a different mood. For example, gourmet magazine is different, skiing magazine is different, travel magazine is different, and magazine about houses are also different. Next up is about flexibility. So because the market environment is constantly changing, so companies have to have great flexibility in order to win in the market. So flexibility is about market opportunities, it's about market threat, which is the internal and external factors that might threaten the company, the availability of media and changes in media or media vehicle. And the last one in this setting up objectives part is about budget consideration. So in doing advertising, you have to take budget into consideration. For example, there are two types of costs that need to be taken into consideration. The first one is absolute cost, which is the actual total cost required to place the message. And the second thing is the relative cost, which is the relationship between price paid for advertising time and the size of the audience delivered. So because budget is constrained, so you have to pay good attention to these two costs. Okay, the last part, now that you have set up the objectives and you have also implemented your media plan, you have to do evaluation and follow up. So as marketer, as advertiser, we want to know whether our media plan has succeeded or not. And that refers to these two questions. One, how well did this strategy achieve the media objective, and how well did our media plan contributed to the overall marketing and communication objectives. So nowadays we have computers in media planning. We use computer program in order to help us in media planning. And the first one is that we use computer program in market analysis. There are 3 types of market analysis generated by computer, as can be seen on the screen. And analysis of this data can help the media planner determine which market and which group to target for advertising and promotion. Next one is computer in media strategy development. Now I have to talk about using computers in analyzing your media plan. Now that with the advancement of technology, we can also use computer in media strategy development. For example, we have computer programs which are used for media strategy development like AdPlus, DSI, Media Plan, and so on. We also have media models developed to show effect of media selection on advertising responses like evaluation models, allocation models, interaction models. However, in recent years, especially in the USA, the markets have been introduced to computer programs which help media planners with achieving the highest reach or the lowest cost available on the basis of Nielsen respondent data. Not a formula. However, this type of program is met with great wave of criticism, especially in the USA, because people think that this type of program should be taken into, should be considered really carefully, because they can never replace the traditional media planning, because they do not take the value of the viewer's reach into consideration, and that by itself, by nature, is not optimized. Okay, so that also concludes the presentation of my group. So thank you for listening, and I see you guys on Friday.